Alright, in this video I'll be doing a throttle body cleaning on my 2013 Mazda 3. You can see the throttle body right there. I'm doing this because I just did this on my Nissan Pathfinder, and you pretty much get a lifetime supply of throttle body cleaner when you buy this stuff. I got some shop towels, as always my wife's electric toothbrush. I got some CRC throttle body cleaner. Like I said, this will probably last me for my entire life, so it's a good thing I got that part of my life all sorted out. And I got these Grippas gloves. You know they're good because they don't spell the name using proper English words. And you're going to need a 10mm socket, and that's pretty much it. Now I am not going to take the throttle body off the vehicle for this. I don't think there's any reason to do that. So a couple things you got to do is remove the air filter cover. There's an electrical connector, but you don't really need to remove that. It'll just move out of the way. You need the 10mm socket to loosen the mechanical hose clamps, and that's pretty much all you need the 10mm socket for. Other than that, everything just sort of comes apart by hand. One thing I found was that you do need to loosen the 10mm bolt a lot more than you think you would when you're removing it. That's just because there's a lip on both sides that necessitates the 10mm bolt being loosened quite a bit. So get the air filter cover off. There's two clips on the back side, and then it just sort of slides out. It does help to have that loosened when you're trying to remove the air filter cover from the air duct going to the throttle body. So there you can see that I've removed it, and like I said, there's plenty of slack on the electrical cable just to move it out of the way. Because I'm using a chemical spray, I'm just going to remove the air filter as well and just put that off to the side. I'm going to reuse that because it's really not that old. It's a coolant line, so that one just pops up and out of the way. Again, it doesn't really have to go very far. And then there is the ventilation hose. That one just pulls out as well, and you don't really need to move it out of the way or anything. It's just fine to hang there. And just like the other side with the mechanical hose clamp, it's a 10mm bolt, and just like on the first side, you do need to loosen it a little bit more than you think, just again because there's a small lip on the throttle body that mechanical hose clamp needs to clear over. But once the hose clamp is sufficiently loose, that should come off without any issue. And you can see the throttle body right there with the throttle plate, and it doesn't look too dirty. Obviously there is some carbon buildup right around the edges of the throttle body plate. So to get this to stay open, all you need to do is put the key in the on position and depress the gas pedal. So you can see the key is in the on position. Do not start the vehicle. And then you can just see I used a woodworking clamp to depress the pedal using the steering wheel. Now I found that there's no requirement to absolutely hose down the throttle body when you're doing this. Just a light spray is all you need to loosen up the carbon deposit, and then everything just sort of melts away. And as mentioned, I am using an electric toothbrush. I do find it works a little bit better. You don't have to scrub very hard. Slowly work the toothbrush back and forth, and the shaky action of the toothbrush does everything that you need for loosening up the junk. Then I reach in there and just sort of do a swipe. I'm not sticking my fingers past the throttle body plate. Basically, I don't want it to close on my hand. Safety first, as they say. So I'm just using some of the shop towels, wrapping around the toothbrush, and inserting it that way. Although it's unlikely the throttle plate would close, you never know. And of course, it's always better to be safe than sorry. I do go through a few iterations of spraying it down with the throttle body cleaner, then working the toothbrush in there, and then going in there with the shop towels. Overall, this was very easy to clean. It wasn't overly dirty. One point is that you should only use the actual throttle body cleaner because some of the throttle bodies have coatings on them, and certain chemicals will eat away at those coatings. So this CRC cleaner is supposed to be approved for use on coated surfaces. And for the same reason, you don't want to use something like steel wool or anything that's too abrasive, because there, like I said, there is a coating in there, and if you're using anything too abrasive, it could damage that coating, which will cause carbon to build up faster in the future. So that's what it looks like after I worked the toothbrush in there a whole bunch of times and cleaned it all up with the shop rags. Now I'll remove the bar clamp, and I'll just clean things up one more time, just spraying the rag down and wiping it up in there. So to put it all back together, really it's just the opposite of how you took it apart. The air ducting obviously goes on first. You could probably put it on the air filter cover first if you wanted to. I felt it was easier to slide it onto the throttle body, then use the 10mm ratchet again to tighten everything down. Put the ventilation hose back in place. Once again, there's no bolts or nuts or anything required. It just slides in there. And then there's that little cutout for the coolant line. Drop your air filter back in place. Make sure that it's lined up and all the rubber pieces are where they should be. And then take your air filter cover and slide the air duct over the hole on the air filter cover. And you can put the air filter cover back in place. So there's two little round plastic slots that the air filter slides into on the engine side, and then, like I said, there's two metal clips on the back side that need to get locked in place. Once all that's done, all that's really left to do is tighten up this one 10mm bolt, and that's pretty much it. Now before starting it, I just kind of let it sit for about 5 minutes. Obviously it takes a minute or two to put everything back together, but I'm going to see if I could let as much of it evaporate as possible so the vehicle doesn't pull a bunch of throttle body cleaner into the engine on startup. And after starting the vehicle, everything goes just fine, and the RPMs drop below 1,000. Overall, this job is super easy. I don't think it takes more than 15 to 20 minutes, and it's actually quite cheap to do the throttle body cleaners, like less than $15 Canadian, which is a pretty reasonable cost. Again, the recommendation is that it should be done at 75,000 miles. However, that's from the company that makes these sprays, so you could take that for what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.